This seems to be all set up to be a very exciting show already. Welcome, I'm Jan Gustafsson. I'm gonna spend most of the time typing and complaining about why doesn't my program work, why does it tell me I'm in a different time zone than I'm at, why can't I add pictures to the exciting show, why did I forget to bring a fancy suit for this one. It's gonna be problems, why is there no sound, all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I've been on the road for like more than a month. I've been to my favorite tournament, the Thailand Open. I've been to Stavanger, the Altibox Norway Cesa, I think it was called. So I'm still trying to settle back into my Hamburg dungeon, into the English language and my Hamburg dungeon over here. It's gonna be tough. And let's see if someone can see me, hear me, all that good stuff. This might be my worst show yet, and I've done some bad ones, so it's very, very low bar to crack, but it's like limbo dancing, is that what they call it? I feel like we're gonna set it lower and lower. Anyway, with most of my whining, I don't think we're done. Out of the way, let's see if I have any challenges, if anybody can. Yeah, I have some challenges, not many. But let me just try to get one game going. I'm so confused about everything. This is like Inception level 3. Didn't even win my test game against Claudia. It's rough times ahead. But I'll click on someone and see if this game shall start. Since I'm having a very rough time projecting my, what do we call it? My chessboard, this one over here, onto my normal screen. Like this is, I'll show you guys. We can either have this, which looks messed up, or we can have this, which looks better, but there's no names. And now if I try to add names, which is what I do before every show, we get this, which doesn't look like a name. So it's all very, very confusing. And I'm playing against Carla69, who seems to be very strong, like rating-wise. What's that? 325? Way too much for me. So I can either do this, where the board is very small, and we can pretty much guess what's happening on the board, or I can switch around and we can have something like this, where we can't see the names, but maybe you guys can keep in mind that I'm playing Carla69, who's rated 325. It's a lot of bad choices over here. Anyway, we're playing an opening called the Let's Pretend I'm gonna play the Slav and then do something different. E6 is confusing me. I could just transpose to whatever, d4, d5, e3, good old semi-Slav, which I've been playing a lot with both sides. Or I could play a bold move like e4 to exploit this weird move order employed by good old Carla over here. And now after d5, e5, we get a very non-standard position, but there are some similar positions. I'm surprised by knight d7. I was expecting knight e4, where I think black should not have played c6. Therefore, I feel like this might be a good version of something for me. Not quite sure of what, but we'll deal with it once we get there. I'll take on d5. Not sure I had to, but after bishop d3, immediately dc4, even though I'm better there as well, slightly bothered me. So I'll play this structure, which looks like a good French, and here I can't resist playing h4, threatening bishop h7. It's not in my style, but I just can't help myself. And it looks like Carla is not fully awake yet either, because she allowed me to do this. The oldest or the only trick in the book that I know. Like, I have a book, but all it covers is bishop h7 sacrifices. So had Carla not allowed this, I wouldn't have known what to do. Well, now I like my chances, because if king takes knight g5, if bishop g5, hg tends to be checkmate, that's one of h4. And if king g8 back, queen h5 is asking some very nasty questions too. Therefore, I believe Carla should probably have taken measures to avoid this bishop takes h7 sacrifice. And now he or she falls into deep thought, and normally we have to answer bishop h7 with king h8. Sort of bad news, because, well, you lost a pawn in front of your king. I'll go all the way back. You could make a case for some immediate aggressive action with knight g5, but no real need for it. Knight g5 is still coming, and Carla's position does not look very enticing around here. Queen b6. Can I checkmate him, her? Knight g5 looks pretty good, doesn't it? Threatening queen h5 check. g6 has to be played, then h5. Yeah, let's see where this leads us. People who really want to see Carla's name, and yeah, I'm not sure why I can't magically put it on the screen as always, but I can do this when you can see all the stuff going on my screen and on chess24. But the board becomes smaller. It's a very tough choice. Really can't win. It's like choosing between Iron Man and Captain America. I don't know which one. g6. I'll just keep switching. I think that's what everybody really enjoys. How do we win here? h5 looks pretty good. Knight f7 probably wins as well. But let's go h5. What could possibly be wrong with it? That's what I learned. You open the file for your rook in front of the king. I never learned that, but it sounded sort of plausible. Yeah, I don't see any defense. King g7, just hg. And any counterplay, queen d4 or whatnot, should come a little late, even though I'm not going to pretend I've thought it all the way through. Queen d4, hg6. King somewhere, king g8 probably. Rook h8 check wins. So king g7, rook h7, king g8, rook h8. King h8 would be checkmate. Therefore, king would have to go back to g7. Then I have to think of something witty to say, which is normally my main concern. Does this win or should I think first? Who likes to think? It's still the old problems. Let's blitz out moves and hope it's checkmate somehow. So this is what I was talking about, king g7, and I was desperately trying to find a checkmate. Can't be that hard, but it can be for me. Rook h7, king g8. That far I got in my calculations. It's like rook h7, king g8, and whatever. Queen h5 should win, but it doesn't feel like the most cruel and justified punishment somehow. I can't see anything better. Well, king g8, gf7 of course wins too, but it all feels very, very unsatisfying. Dissatisfying? Unsatisfactory? I don't know. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Probably the easiest way to lose this would be to just let my time run out, which is what I'm currently trying. Now I'm gonna go here, and I'll use the usual disclaimers. Can't calculate, gf7 was winning, blah blah blah. So queen e5 check, bishop e3, then bishop g5, gf wins, fg, queen g6 wins, f5, g7 wins. So it looks like there's a lot of lines in which I'm winning, which is good news. And apologies for all the smart viewers out there who've spotted many mate in twos, which I haven't. And yeah, I know there's no names up. That's why I've been switching. I can do this, then we can see the names, but it's all too big. And once I try to bring the names up, like I always do, this happens, and it's very, very irritating. See, it's not a name, it's just black. What other windows do I have? I have this. There's one name, also not great. What happens if I click here? This is so exciting. Now this looks very wrong. Nah, I'm gonna go with this one, and I'm gonna repeat that I'm playing against Carla69, rated 2325 from Germany, who played f5. What did I say? I think I wanted this. Which looks pretty good, but it's still not checkmate, which is greatly irritating. Queen g7, alright. Doesn't make the game a lot more exciting, but I might have to win on head count, which, well, is my favorite way to win. Is there a mate in 2 or something? Queen h7, king f6, knight d5. It's kind of winning. So hard to decide. So many choices, so little time. It's not a mate in 2. Because there's a powerful king to e5 move. This one I thought I had calculated all the way to the end. Let's tease Carla a little bit. It's not much of a tease, really. What am I doing? Anyway, I won. Yay me. Congratulations, I checkmated Carla 69. Let's find another opponent. But whom? I don't know. Maybe Cesa. I'll go with this again so you guys can familiarize yourself with the name Cesa, which is not spelled like Julius Caesar, but with a lot of E's and S's. And I have played the horrible move 1e4. And I shall commit to an open Sicilian, which, as we all know, is very dangerous. Just look at Fabi's game. I see some chat about Fabi. He normally loses every game in the Najdorf, even though he's the most booked up player in the world, and of course one of the best players in the world too. These positions are very hard to handle, especially for non-e4 players like myself. But I like to go with the latest fashion, and as far as I know, this h3 stuff still is the latest fashion. Bishop e3 is a little trap. It's a tarp, because bishop g5, knight e6 is no good. Somewhere around here I'm out of the book, but I will use all my Sicilian knowledge, which is push these pawns up the board and then hope it's somehow checkmate. Let's see how that approach is gonna treat me. I don't know. In order to get this push in, I should at some point protect my rook. Right now g6, hg6 does not look very tempting yet, so I could move the rook out of the way, something like rook h3. I could go bishop g2, could take on c6 first and then go bishop g2. It's just too many choices. I'll go here, which might be good or might be terrible. Sicilian experts could probably elaborate. I can't, but I'm following my reasonably simplistic plan of pushing this pawn and see where that takes us. Looks like I finally got Cesa to think, and I pre-moved that one. Oh, we can see the move times here. 81 milliseconds for a pre-move? How am I gonna flag people if I lose that kind of time with all my expert pre-moving? I do not know. I'm ahead on the clock, which always makes me very happy. Knight takes d4, looks very sensible. Getting rid of one potential attacker. I'll give a little Zwischenschach, because I did not want black to stabilize with rook h8 or knight f6 or whatnot if I take back on d4. So I give this check first of g6. I have another check on h7. Well, now after king g8, bishop d4, I was hoping that the black setup is a little less harmonious because this rook could not occupy the open file. Still don't really know what's going on, but I have a good feeling about my position. Does that make any sense? Who knows? Queen here looks fairly normal. My plan is to castle queenside, put a rook on g1, and then somehow checkmate. If he goes e5, which I think he probably should, I'm not so sure. I can't castle queenside already, because after ed4, rook g1, bishop f8, there's not really a mate yet. Cesa starts with b4, and I might have to use all my brilliant attacking skills once again, which is normally bad news for myself, not for whomever I am attacking. Thinking about long castles, b takes c3, rook g1, let's say cb2, king b1. Threatening mate here. Only defense I can see is bishop f8, then either queen f6 or bishop f6. Yeah, let's just do it and see what happens. Some very deep calculations by yours truly, as you're used to. I haven't done Banter Blitz for a while, like more than a month. I've missed all the crushing. Some discussion what challenges I accept. Yeah, normally I like 3-0 and 5-0, so gives me time to talk nonsense, but the games don't last forever, and yeah, my flagging chances go way down if we play with increment, so I'm not a big fan. But I tend to accept challenges sort of randomly, as you know. Therefore, challenge whatever you feel comfortable with. But normally we stick to a 3-0 and 5-0. So Cesa's defended well, played e5, followed by bishop f8. I can't see a mate, I can take on f6, but it's not really checkmate, which is a pity. But in the absence of other good moves, I'm gonna do it, bc3, and just recapture. At least I'm not getting checkmated. Now I'm a pawn up with some initiative, so things aren't too bad. But after queen f7, I might have to switch the game to duller waters by changing queens. Can I avoid that? Could go queen h4, queen takes a2, but I'm not really sure what that gives me. So let's keep it boring. Pawn is a pawn, so my chances are sort of decent, but I'm disappointed I did not manage to checkmate Cesa. What to do now? Let's improve the king a little bit. b3, king b2. If Cesa wants to check me on h6, he is allowed to do so. He does want to do so. Can't blame him. Check is a check. Rook of 8, fair enough. That was sort of a ridiculous move, even though it was made after long thought. I missed king g7 as a reply, and now my pawn up based advantage is very quickly disappearing. I have to play this clumsy move, and then bishop c8, rook g3, bishop f4, rook g2 looks very, very clumsy. What to do though? Bishop h3, rook g1. Did I blunder something? I have a feeling I'm blundering stuff, but Cesa lets me off the hook with bishop c1 check. I have a feeling bishop h3 might have been kind of tough to hang on to the material. Still, this position that we have on the board now is also not exactly winning for me. My bishop on c3 doesn't do all that much. Should get it into action very quickly by putting it here and targeting the d6 pawn. But so far, good game by Cesa and not such a great game by Jan. Because bishop e4 seems to work, bishop d6, rook f6, and a bunch of my pieces are hanging, especially this bishop with check, which is not ideal. Cesa chooses to believe me, which I'm very happy to see. Now I can sort of stabilize and should be able to grind this out if I don't lose on time, which is always a possibility. Nah, I'm not gonna lose on time. d5, yeah, maybe I should have gone c4 to not allow that, but I didn't. I'm threatening checkmate. I'm always very excited when I can threaten checkmate, but no bluffing Cesa. How's a pure bishop endgame? Is that winning? Not so sure. It's really time to start speeding up a little bit. Pre-move. Wasn't quite a pre-move, but it was a fast move. It's check. Expertly anticipated this sequence. I thought there's very few squares for the king to go. And Cesa resigns. That was tense. Oof, all the excitement. Let's find someone else to play. And yeah, sorry if I seem a little casual. I really haven't settled into my Hamburg dungeon again just yet. All this freedom on the road has gotten to my head. Whom to play though? Let's play someone new. Fresh. Hungry. The list keeps moving. It's also confusing. Oh. Come on, give me something here. having a very hard time scrolling. So I'll just click. Sorry, that didn't work out so well. Whom are we playing? Player number 5. Is he premium? Ah, yeah. There we go. Player number 5, 1479. That makes me a favorite. I have like double his rating. I'll play the Alekhine defense, which is a pretty terrible opening. But it's not that bad. I have a lot of experience with it because I played it a lot in Bullet. In Bullet I always pre-move knight b6 here. Which, yeah, is a bad move. But you can pre-move it against both d4 and c4. So that's pretty much the idea behind it. And everybody on the internet plays his line with c4, knight b6, e takes d6. Where white is a little better, I guess. ed, you somehow get your pieces out, bishop e7. Short castles, knight c6, and you hope for some active play with bishop g4. Playing against these d4 and c4 plans, but if white chooses a smart move order, he can normally avoid any immediate danger. And is a little better. Here h3 looks like a decent move, stopping me from my evil bishop g4 intentions. And yeah, I guess I'm a little worse. But such is life as an Alekhine player, or Ayechin. I never know how to pronounce it. In German we say Ayechin. I guess people say Alekhine in other jurisdictions. Not sure about bishop f5. And g4 followed by g5 grabs a lot of space, but I don't know what to do. Could put the rook on e8, I guess. Let's see what happens. At some point I probably have to make a stand in the center and go d5, which white should mate with c5, and I don't have a great square for this knight. Player number 5 goes d5 voluntarily, which makes me at least think about my options. Could go knight a5, targeting Mr. Pawn, and I don't see why not. Knight d4 looks like a decent reply. Would have to move my bishop somewhere, then b3. Doesn't really give me all that much. I could go knight b4, threatening knight c2. Yeah, let's do that, I guess. And yeah, there was a game short Timman in the 90s in the Ayechin, which did not end well for Timman, even though I'm not sure that was an opening problem. But I have seen that one. I'm more educated on the classics, and short games are of course classics, than I pretend to be most of the time. So this is a fork. Forks are good. Attacking both the rook on a1 and the rook on e1. And it's very hard to keep both of them. Bishop e3 now, it's very tempting to just take the bishop, because it's the backbone of the white position. And knight e3 followed by rook e3 just looks winning. But I'm too greedy to do it, so I shall grab the rook instead. Don't know what to do. This breaks my heart to give up this lovely bishop for a measly knight, but can't hurt to spoil his pawn structure. This knight will see better days on c5 or f6, e4, or wherever we take it. Therefore, yeah, black should be winning in the long run. But mid-turn, I still have to be a little careful about potential attacks on the king side. This is a nice square, though. You can't really take it because after dc, you will no longer be in time to stop me from putting all my heavy pieces on the d file. Bishop g5, yeah. I'll go away. Looks like blank shot. Yeah. The problem is I have an exchange and I have the better structure, so well, white should definitely continue to try to ask some questions. The success rate should not be all that high. Queen f4. Thinking about a queen f fork, but I can't really make it work. Look, I can try though. You can always try. If at first you don't succeed, brush yourself off and try again. Is that the quote? Not sure. Yeah, once again, apologies about the lack of design today. Some issues with my little program not allowing me to capture anything from on the screen, so we have to live with this, where you guys can get a bit too much information and not a big enough board. But if I switch to this stuff, then we lose the player names. We don't want that, because then I can't talk trash about player number 5 blundering a fork. Well, he didn't really blunder because he has this intermediate check, rook e8, rook e8. But all these simplifications should greatly help my cause. Queen g3 is a good little try, trying to stop, to sort of checkmate me with... Yeah, it's hard to checkmate me here. Bishop f6 or whatnot. How do I handle it though? I could just move the king away. Maybe that's the most economical way to do it. I could zoom, that's a fair point, but we might lose some names then. Okay, that's still progress. Yeah, this is better. Thanks, Bogdano. King h2. What to do? I don't know. Let's go back here. Can I zoom more? Probably I shouldn't over zoom it. Should be 3. Player number 5 putting up a lot of resistance here. I've mentally chalked up the point a while back, which I always do, and normally it doesn't end well. You should never, just because you're winning, let your guard down. Au contraire, as I learned from Artur Yusupov in this series I did with him on prophylactic thinking, which I thought was excellent, and I'm mainly saying this because I'm in it, but I also really learned a lot from the great Artur, and it was a pleasure to do with him. Anyway, back to my story. He said, yeah, that technique, which is a concept I never really understood, was 50% attitude, that you understand you're winning and you focus even harder and try to, yeah, not let your guard down. I'm paraphrasing here, and not very well. That's why you should watch the series. He made a lot of great points, and I really learned something. Of course, didn't really apply any of it in my recent games, but that's my problem, not Artur's. So yeah, knight g1 is sort of a sign things aren't going well for player number 5. But kudos to him, he really did hang in extremely well after getting it into a bit of hot water early. I'll do what I do. I don't even think about giving this check here. I just want the pawn. Well, if he goes queen g3, I will consider the check on f1. Probably still wouldn't give it, but grab the pawn. But I would give it some thought then. Queen f2, do I have any forks? I'd like to have some forks, but no forks. I recently tried to buy forks, because I feel like I'm out of forks at home as well. But you can only buy them in like a package with knives and spoons. And I have lots of knives and spoons, but not enough forks. So yeah, I'm sure you're very interested in updates from my kitchen. I will keep you posted. Updates about this game is I'm winning, I'm attacking all the pieces, I'm winning on time, I'm bunch of exchange up. So things are looking good against player number 5, but since my rating is double his, I am afraid I won't get to brag too much about it. Thanks for the game, Mr. Player. Whom do we play? Kostakis02. Kostakis. From Greece. CM. What's a CM? That's Candidate Master? I guess that's what it stands for. Not sure. Yeah, Candidate Master. Did it zoom out again? It feels like it zoomed out. No, it's the same. Alright. I went c4. Trendy move nowadays. And what works for Levon Aronian to defeat Magnus Carlsen is good enough for me as well. G3 is considered a little second rate because of the reply c6, but it is of course a playable move, or the idea is to stop a very early bishop b4 setup. Now after bishop c5 there is this gambit line from my childhood after e3, d5, cd, knight b4, which I believe is not terrible, but Kostakis goes for d6 and I can play a setup with knight e2, probably follow it up with d4 and get, I guess, a decent position. Takes, bishop a7, so far so good. I'll go h3 just to rule out any bishop g4s. Not sure I had to, but how bad can it be? Let's both castle. Of course, I hope he's gonna blunder a piece with bishop e6, d5, but since he is 22-36 candidate master, I believe that's a bit unlikely to happen. But even if he doesn't, I'm a little better. Structure resembles the last game, this Alekhine, and white just has more space. I'll put my pieces somewhere. Bishop e3, queen d2, maybe expand with g4, knight g3 at an opportune moment and see what happens. Could also go b3, bishop b2. Not sure what's best. Also not sure what black wants to do. If he goes bishop f5, I will take the bait and immediately question this bishop before any rook e8, knight e4 happens. Sacrifices on g4 look a little extreme, so g4 just seems a usual space-grabbing operation. And don't we all love space? I don't love space that much. Like, I didn't like Gravity. I didn't even watch Interstellar. Martian was okay-ish, but also not my favorite. I do love Rick and Morty. I discovered a new TV show called Rick and Morty, which is fantastic, but I think most of you wouldn't like it, so I'm not sure. I should recommend it. You need to be a little weird to enjoy that one, but I have a feeling it applies to me. So it's a great show. Check out Rick and Morty. And Kostakis does not believe me when I say sacrifices on g4 are off the table and goes for violence. What have I done to you, Kostakis, that you tried to checkmate me in such cruel fashion? Queen h4 is probably the plan, even though after bishop f4 there's no real checkmate. I'm wondering if I should go bishop f4 immediately. I was a little concerned about g5, bishop g3, f5, but it's all very hard to believe. So we'll see how it goes. I guess black should play g5. I'm not sure I'll go to g3, because then after f5, if black gets f4, the bishop could end up looking a little funny. So I might just go to e3, when you could argue, and I certainly will, that g5 has also weakened black's position and stopped him from going for the active queen h4 move. Not sure. I think black should play g5. I don't really see any other sensible move. And then I shall go for a long, deep thought. Or not. Knight d5 sort of suggested itself. I'm sort of saying sort of a lot. Might have to stop doing that. But not yet. What's going on? Two shirt buttons down. It's very warm in Hamburg, as it always is. Queen g6. Of course, my main thought is how can I get a fork in? But once again, I have a feeling it's not gonna happen anytime soon. So I don't know how to put my pieces. It's one of the many weaknesses I have chess-wise. Don't really know where to put them. Maybe here, but it feels slightly disharmonious. Not sure if that's a word. Yeah, the knight on g3 looked decent as well. But I don't want to lose contact to the h2 square. Yeah, there's some practical compensation for Kostakis. I still don't believe it all. This piece sacrifice is correct or anything, but I have to pay attention. And my attention span is incredibly short. Therefore, even if I thought of a threat now, I might have forgotten it in like 4 or 5 seconds. And the practical chances are tremendous for Mr. Kostakis here. f5. I feel like it's time to go pawn hunting already. Yeah, give me that. There's no threats. Whom are you kidding, Kostakis? f4, knight f4. Well, rook c8 I had planned to jump around of course, there is the deep idea, queen e6, bishop d5 behind it. While if Kostakis doesn't take, which I'm afraid he won't, I was hoping something good would come out of this. Not quite sure what. Rook f6, whatever. Knight 2 f4, I guess. And we'll see how it goes. It ain't over yet. Takes? Well, what am I missing? I thought I could pin. Maybe I'm not missing anything. Maybe it's Kostakis who did the missing here and thought my idea was d5. But it wasn't. What's going on in the chat? Yeah, stick to English. So do I. Yeah, some movie talk. We'll get to movie talk if we get a chance. I watched what's called Captain America Civil War last night. Me. Thing is, with all these superhero movies, like every second movie we get now is a superhero movie, sort of, I think I gotta stop this sort of. Feels like the critics have resigned to that, and now if it's a good superhero movie, they're gonna hype it. Captain America Civil War or Captain America 3 had, I believe, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I went into it and thinking, oh, this must be like the greatest masterpiece since The Godfather. But then you're sitting there and it's a decent superhero movie, but it's not a clever movie. And since, yeah, there's so many dependencies, and I'm sure it's gonna make another bazillion dollars to shepherd the brand, there is only limited things people can do with it. But come on, it's a silly story to serve as background for, I guess I shouldn't spoil too much, for superheroes engaging in silly fights. And there's some witty banter during these fights and all that, but it's not like a masterpiece of a movie. So that's my problem with it. I don't mind watching superhero movies, and I've sure seen plenty. But now the critics, like even the one before that, The Winter Soldier, which I thought was better, but it was still like the usual movie where they blow up everything in the end. Makes you think like it's masterful spy thrillers or whatever, and it's still sort of, well, not nonsense, but it is your typical good Marvel movie with a bunch of funny lines and so on. So yeah, I'm conflicted on superhero movies, and I'm conflicted on the Grunfeld. I'm not sure my move order here made all that much sense, to be completely honest with you. Bishop e3, queen d2 is a decent system. But with the move order chosen, I'm not 100% sure here. After knight c6, am I supposed to go d5 here? Or after rook c1, bishop g4, what do they do here? d5 looks normal, so maybe it's not all bad. Let's get to the position we actually have on the board. Knight e5, should probably not blunder my queen just yet, and go here. I'm not sure what's happening. If I'm given time to expand, go f4, c4, e5, I'll be better. But it's a tricky opening, and you always gotta be alert. c4 could be an idea, intending after f4 to go knight d3 check, sacrificing a pawn, but opening the position a little more. b6 feels slow to me. Now I shall do what I promised, to grab all this space. And I should be better. Not sure, maybe c4 was not the most precise. Maybe I should have started with e5 just to avoid further jumping around. Knight f6, bishop f3, whatever, queen d7. e5, queen h3. But even this can't be so terrible. e5 looks like a decent countermeasure, but I have a feeling that this structure might be good for me, because this pawn on e5 is seriously restricting both the bishop and the knight. Black should probably go g5 to do something about it. But yeah, I had a feeling this looked decent. Bishop h6. I hope my feeling did not betray me. What does he want? He wants queen f8 to target f4. Problem is with all these random moves I'm making, I have a feeling it might be, a lot of feelings today, might be improving his positions. But I do have a keen eye for cheap tactical shots, and of course, if you give me a pawn, I'll gladly take it. Not yet though, because the pin is still in place and I might be able to steal another tempo by doing this first. Yeah, this position looks good. Let's activate Mr. King. This should be winning somehow. Bring the king to e4 and then either push the a pawn or push the h pawn to create some more weaknesses. f5 is also in the air, and yeah, the pure bishop endgame, I believe, is kinda hopeless. Since, yeah, I have more pawns and all that stuff. How do I play though? I could go f5 immediately, which looks winning, or I could just go king d5, which also looks winning. Choices. After f5, I'm not 1000% sure that after bishop e3, f, e, g, f, king f5, I am actually winning, so I should think about that for a second. Oh, and I should speed up because I've spent all my time. Probably should have gone king d5, which looked like a more surefire way to get this done. But what you gonna do? Another one of those games where I forgot about the clock. That didn't happen much in the old days, when I was still flagging fools left and right. Well, bishop g7 is hopeless, but with the clock situation, I have to speed up just a little bit. Still, 32 seconds. Should be plenty time to finish this. And yeah, Floyd Akash resigns. Exciting. Next game, ladies and gentlemen. Marathon Man, 333. Here we go. What does the 333 stand for? How long is a marathon? Where is he from? Ah, he's from the USA. So probably, I think over here we call it, it's 42 kilometers. But they don't have the blessings of the metric system, so they probably have another way to measure it. I'll play, what do we call this? The Queen's Indian defense. I don't engage with it much. By far my main move is d5 in that position. But sometimes you want a little variety. Can't eat steak every day. You need your Thai food in there. Excellent comparison, Jan. Really on my comparison game today. c6 and d5. You normally do that. Like recently we've seen a couple games where black goes castles d5 and accepts the structure after cd, ed. But I don't like that. I like preparing d5 with c6 so that after cd5 I can go cd5. 95, I guess this stuff is theory. As a rule of thumb, you want to react to 95 with not letting it live there for very long, and therefore I'm going knight fd7. For the more natural knight bd7, c6 would be en prise. So not going to be able to do it, but knight fd7 looks logical enough. Not sure if this is still theory, but it looks sensible. If Marathon Man 333 does not run out of steam here and takes on d7, I'll take back with the knight when c4 is under attack. Could make a case for queen c2 followed by e4 then, but I'll think about it once we get there. Queen c2. Maybe queen c. Maybe 333 is his fastest marathon running time. Not sure. He did go queen c2. I'm curious if this is a moment to be precise and not castle first, but prepare some c5 counterplay. Okay, rook e1 makes this a little less principled. I was curious about the immediate e4 c5 when I wasn't sure what was going on. But I guess we will never know. Still don't know what's going on, of course, but it looks interesting-ish. Therefore, let's do it. Probably I should have calculated for a second here, but I have a feeling it might work, which It's the next best thing to calculating. Bishop d5, yeah, I could start with knight f6 or with cd4. Once again, I'll play field-based. Might have ruined my position with all my great feelings here, because the bishop on a6 is a little sad. Now, yeah, if the bishop goes away, I'll take here. This dude... What's going on? Something up my throat, eating my own words here. Yeah, I think I was complaining about the bishop on a6 not being blessed with a great future. You could argue that my d4 pawn is active and all that. Queen d3 is a good move. As we all know, I don't appreciate it when you guys make good moves. I much prefer horrible moves that blunder material. So I'm endorsing queen takes d4, bishop f6 here, for example. But not any good moves, please. Point of knight d7 is, yeah, I think he can't take on d4, and I want to go knight c5 to push this queen away from her nice square on d3, where she blocked my passer, and she stopped me from going b5 to activate Mr. Silly Bishop. The position, yeah, I'm not so sure about. I can't say I like it all that much. Queen f5 looks like another good move. All these good moves. What have I done to you, Marathon Man, to deserve all this? I want to play b5. Not sure it works. b4 looks interesting. But then, when push comes to shove, if it comes to shove, whatever, I could... can't even vocalize my own thoughts. After b4, I was planning to sacrifice a piece with bc4 and hope for the best. I'm still slightly worse. I have a feeling Marathon Man is playing extremely well here. After knight c4, I can't go knight e6 because of rook takes e6. Same thing applies here. bc4 makes the structure a little uglier, but my bishop is still dumb on a6. I'll go g6 just because I can't think of a better thing to do. Sometimes. You gotta tell it like it is. However, if this queen gives up control of the d3 square, as it does, I might be able to jump around a little bit. See what happens. Keeping half an eye on the chat here. Yeah, I do watch Game of Thrones, but I haven't started season 6 yet, so I'm not up to date, I have to admit. But I will be one day. Should I calculate? Knight g2, bishop e7. All of these calculations are hurting my brain. Both knight g2 and just bishop takes f8 look very good, but I can't support a forced win in either. So I'll err on the side of the two bishops. That's my church. See how that goes. Yeah, clumsy bishop is finally doing something useful, defending the rook on c8. Yeah, still don't have a plan, so I'll go pawn grabbing as usual. Rook d1, queen takes a2. c1 makes knight grabbing more attractive than pawn grabbing, so that's a good turn of events for me. And Marathon Man resigns after not quite a marathon game, but an interesting one until he let me take that knight. Who's next? Why does this list keep changing all the time? It's so confusing. I click on something and it's gone. It's just too hard, so I'll click randomly. I clicked on always queens exchange. Not gonna be able to do it. Let's keep the queens on the board. I'll even play 1 e4. However, No, let's play the Juco Piano. The Juco Piano is making a comeback at the highest levels of chess for whatever reason. Mainly people are bored of other openings. It's my theory. Bishop e7 is not a move I'm familiar with. Looks a little passive, but how bad can it be? Could go d4, I guess. I could go whatever, normal stuff, castle c3. No clue. So let's just castle, see where that takes us. Nothing wrong with it, really. Maybe there's some theory with some direct d4. Let's see. I guess a more sensible way to play is like rook e1, c3, and then d4 later. But d4, d6 also can't really ruin my position just yet. Knight c3, bishop g4 is bothering me a tad. But only a tad. Yeah, I got nothing. I'm gonna have to study this exciting bishop e7 line. Knight takes e5 and things simplify. I guess I am slightly better. Black should take on c4 because if this bishop is allowed to live on b3, then it might make a Jon Snow-like return to the game later on. Therefore taking it feels right. And now, yeah, it's a random position where I'm a little better because of my space, but with only two pairs of minor pieces. Black is extremely solid here, whatever. Knight d7, bishop f6. But my development is a little easier. Put a rook on d1, probably another one on e1, mess around with threatening e5, and get a triple double. Knight d7, good move. I could have gone knight d5 immediately, but I felt like starting with this one. If bishop f6, I will go knight d5. Doesn't look like black can get away with taking on b2 for various reasons, which I will get into should this happen. Which is code for I haven't thought about it at all, but I'll hope for the best. Bishop b2, yeah. Queen c7 looks like a move. Knight c7 also looks like a move. Okay. Always queens exchange, plays rook c8, which is a decent move, keeping c7 alive. I don't know what to do, so I'll just go c3 to not have to think about this stuff anymore. This b2 stuff, that is. And here I was hoping something good would emerge out of my small lead in development. What I'm thinking about now is bishop f6, e5 takes, pawn takes e5, bishop e5, knight f6 check, where I'm not sure how much it is. Like, I'll get a queen for rook, bishop, and pawn, and I have a feeling it's probably more drawn than good for me. But couldn't see anything better. And I might have some alternatives after d e5 or after bishop takes e5, which I'm currently trying to localize. Meh, still got nothing. Nothing. Still nothing. Nah, I might have to go for it. I was thinking about what not. Rook fe1 after bishop takes e5, but then just c6. And not much there. Or even bishop d6. Don't really see it, so I'm going to have to grab the queen. But objectively, or mathematically speaking, as our boy Peter Svidler likes to say, this feels like it should not be enough for a full point. Surprised by queen f6. I thought bishop f6 immediately was stronger, because then I have to take on d8. Rook takes d8. Looked like a much better version for black. Well, now with my rook on the 7th rank, asking some questions, the success rate should go way up for me. Yeah, this is now on the verge, on the eve of disaster. Yeah, it's probably just winning actually. No, bishop takes, queen takes f6 was a big mistake. And always queen's exchange. Didn't quite manage to manufacture the queen's exchange. It resigns. But here, if just bishop takes, rook takes d8, rook f takes d8, black's position looks extremely solid to me. And I have serious doubts that white is better here, or seriously better here objectively. Maybe I'm in time to create some havoc with g4, but feels very thin. Anyway, another interesting game. We shall get to the next one. Bishop's pawn is not happy with my talking points today, but as any good politician, I only prepared 3 topics, and I will switch to robot mode if you ask me to talk about something else, so not going to be able to do it. Right now, I'm very focused on finding my next victim, opponent, I mean. What about hack and sack? Harold von Heringen's wife thinks I'm fat. Yeah, what to do? No, I think I'm actually getting in better shape again. It's time to get into summer shape. But yeah, the problem is normally I have this mobile closet in the Chess24 office with a lot of fancy clothes, but since I've been on the road so long, I took them all. So this was all I had. And when I arrived in my hoodie this morning, the choice was very limited. But it's a nice shirt, come on. Anyway, apologies to your wife for having to watch this show. She should really find something else to do. Like there's not much to learn here. Except if you're a fan of extremely dull lines in the g3 King's Indian, where white, because he wants to avoid a principled debate, does not go for the move d5 here, which is considered best by theory. But instead plays the slightly chicken d takes e5, when after knight takes e5. We reach a pretty boring position, where maybe white is slightly better, maybe he's not. What do I know? I don't even know what to do here. Maybe b3. I hope I'm not blundering some knight e4 tricks. Probably I did, but it's too late now, hack and sack. You only get 1/2 move to exploit my blunders. I tend to fix them. Rook b8, the idea was to defend b7 to get this bishop out, but you can develop this bishop wherever you want. Doesn't really bother me. If knight f3, I'm gonna recapture with the pawn, which looks a bit strange maybe, but after f4, this pawn still has a role to play in the events to come. Now I'm out of ideas, so I'll put this knight here just so I don't have to think about knight f3 anymore. Still slightly better. The structure is always slightly better for white. I can slowly but surely expand somewhere. Let's start by kicking this bishop back to d7. Then put the rook probably on d1. I have to keep half an eye out on b5. Don't really want to give hack and sack all that much counterplay, but he goes all the way to c8. Whatever makes him happy. If he goes b5 now, I still have f4, and there is yet another knight fork looming on, what's the square called? c6. So yeah, I think I'm a bit better. Normally you have your pawn on e4 already in these structures, but I kind of like not having committed to it yet. I probably will do so sooner rather than later. Maybe now. Yeah. I don't know, sometimes black gets some counterplay here with knight h5 nonsense, but it feels like it's a storm in a water glass. Is that an expression? I don't know, sounds smart. Yeah, white is better. What do you want me to tell you? c6 is normally needed at some stage to stop me from going knight d5, but it does weaken the d6 pawn. Hack and sack decides not to do that. If knight d5, I don't really see a follow-up yet, but might as well. Not 100% sure, I'm never 100% sure about anything, which shows my expertise, because I see all these gray areas. But yeah, I'd probably misplayed it. Not 100% sure, but reasonably sure. And I don't really want to exchange any pieces, so I'll go back. But now I have to keep an eye on bishop takes g4, knight takes g4, all that nonsense. Knight h7, I don't know what that's about. Possibly clearing the way for the queen to h4. I'll avoid that just in case. g5 could be some deep positional concept, but it feels like it might leave more holes than it creates in my position. So I'm not too concerned about it. And queen e7, begging for me to go knight d5 with tempo. I'm gonna have to oblige. Feels like it's time to do something aggressive. Not in my nature, I'm such a peaceful guy. But let's do something. I'm not sure if this is aggressive. But at least it's a check. Oh, and with all my expert explanations, I once again forgot about the clock, which I will now start panicking about unduly when I'm down to 26 seconds. I hope this habit does not continue. Could really become a problem. FG is, of course, a very random pre-move. Yep, that was clever. I could have pre-moved queen takes e2, but I didn't, because I saw right through it. And yeah, after I pressed the speed button, things started going my way. I really have to stop. First of all, showing you guys my Skype contacts, but since I had to switch to full screen, don't know how to do it. Might have to get rid of Skype. So sad. And yeah, I have to stop forgetting the clock, is what I think I was saying. Let's go to the bottom of the list. I'm not sure if this theory applies that whoever's at the bottom challenged first, but I'll play one of them. Ambitious pawn seems to be in touch with Harold's wife, which Harold, you should do something about, but of course I will still not grant his wish. Taste your lose. That's a weird username. Shouldn't it be taste your loss or taste you lose? I'm confused. Taste your lose. Maybe you played it a little fast and loose there with the username, but not in the opening. He goes for the good old Slav, and I'm sure I've done all kinds of crap on the show already. Why not play queen c2? Knight bd7 I've never seen, but in this move order, normally the argument is whenever this knight leaves b8, then cd5 becomes stronger because it can no longer go to c6. Here my intention is to go bishop c7 and win the queen instantly, but I have a feeling most sensible moves do avoid that, like queen a5 check or e6 or whatnot. So we'll develop some pieces instead. Fine with me. I guess knight e4 could be an idea, or bishop b4, and then knight e4. But it doesn't look like there's any immediate catastrophe on c3 impending. And if there is none, then my pieces will be better placed than taste your lose pieces. Don't know what I want. I think rook fc1 and then a3. Not so easy for black to do something. Bishop c3 you can do, of course, but that gives me bishops. I do like bishops. I'm very tempted to go knight e5 after, let's say, b6, because there's some tricks against the h7 pawn. But b5, very bold. b5 makes me change plans. That's just too weakening. I shall exploit that. Not sure I exploited it so expertly. Frankly, I thought ba4 was not a great move because of rook a4, but then bishop d3 wins material. Well, rook fc8 loses material, right? Maybe not a lot of material. But how could this ever work? Je ne sais pas. Queen c3, yeah, might not win that much material, which makes me very, very sad. thinking about the best way to do this. ba6 is of course possible. Bishop h7 is possible. Sort of a desperado mission, grabbing a pawn first. I guess I'll do that, but it doesn't excite me unduly. Still, pawn is a pawn. Potentially my guy on a6 could still come in handy. I'll give my usual speech that I'm assuming that everybody who challenged me wants to play me, so asking me to play you shouldn't help, because it's so unfair to everybody else who's also wants to play but who's not vocal enough about it. 95 was ridiculous. I don't know why I provoked f6, but we're only human. I'll go h4 just to avoid any back rank embarrassment before I start thinking about further course of action like rook b6 or bishop t6, bishop c5 or something in that vein. Rook b6, ab a7, rook a8 doesn't seem to win yet, so I'll switch to plan B, which is put the bishop here, increase the pressure. Knight of 8 looks like the best move to neutralize my pressure increasing ideas. After bishop c5 now there's knight ft7. So I have to do something else. Maybe I need more resources like this knight as well. Horsish. Nah. Can't finish. Horsish. It's very tough to say horsish. Why is that so tough? Horsish resources. Not quite human resources, but probably the next best thing. Hang on, I shouldn't pre-move this. I should at least think about DC, then discard it. Maybe it's a good move, but probably not. Yeah, Taste Your Lose has defended very well after the unfortunate events that transpired earlier. And I still have to find ways to convert my extra pawn. Feeling all my intents to win quickly were not really giving me success, so I'm switching to slower play, potentially opening a second front on the king side. Principle of two weaknesses, blah blah blah. We'll see how it goes. e5, yeah, why not? Doesn't really threaten anything though. So I don't know, g5 looks a little dumb, which is exactly the reason I'm choosing it. Feels very fitting. Yeah, g5 was a strange move. Still a pawn up though. Taste Your Loses. Trying to manufacture a check on the f-file. Looks like successfully too. Taste Your Lose has started playing excellently after the early mishaps, which as usual is not appreciated. You could also put it differently and say my technique has been bad. But I like saying the opponent has played well, and in spite of my genius play, somehow it didn't work. Now, however, I might have some hope. A check on e6 would be a little painful to meet, and it looks very hard to prevent as well. So once again, there's hope. Got so excited, I didn't even see it was legal for him to check me as well. Now he's gonna go rook c4, but I can still give this check. Oh no, he doesn't go rook c4. He's so desperate about avoiding rook e6. He's willing to give me an entire exchange, which looks like too much material. Okay. Not that concerned about Donny the d-pawn, but I should start thinking about him at some point. Not yet. Trying to queen my f-pawn before Donny is causing any trouble. It looks like I might be well on my way. Not sure if f8 queen was best. Probably I could have kept harassing the knight, but this looks good enough. A rook is a rook, as we say in the business, and therefore taste your lose, tastes his loss, and has to resign. Some basketball questions. I don't know, before we start discussing Spurs or Warriors. The Spurs have to get past OKC, which might not be so simple. And yeah, I guess Curry's gonna be back, and the Warriors are gonna be a favorite. But who knows? I don't. Oh, let's play another fearsome opponent, Eric Rovski, 2750. Who has that rating? Plays d4, c4. Looks like he's going for the good old Catalan. I should probably not have played bishop e7, but that's my pet system, which I made a video series about, so I'll stay loyal to it. Quite often when playing for a win, or when I'm against someone who's as booked up as Eric Rovski, I will do something else, like an early d takes c4. Pre-moving! How can I deal with all this knowledge? Knight c3 here. Do they do that? Feels like this might not be a knight c3 spot. Not sure why though. Looks like a perfectly decent move, of course. I have a feeling they don't play it here. I honestly don't know why though. Maybe this? Not so sure about knight d5. Should watch my own video series. I might have covered this topic. The main line is queen takes c4, bishop e6. Knight c3 in this position does not ring a bell. But as I said, perfectly sensible move. Might not ring a bell because of my lack of knowledge. Anyway, if you get this e2 pawn, even if you lose the c7 pawn, which I probably will, my feeling is always that black should have enough counterplay because of the weaknesses around the white king. But sometimes that theory gets disproven, if that's a word. So you gotta be careful here. And I'm not sure I will be, but I'll make moves, which is the next best thing. If queen c7, queen f3 looks good, if bishop c7, rook c8, I'll take it from there. I guess Eric Rovski shouldn't take any pawns, but go something like rook e5, asking me to reveal my intentions. And yeah, my intentions are to win on time, so can reveal those right now. Rook e7, also a decent move. Should probably continue doing half-active things like this move. Hinting at a check on d1. Rook e1, another good move. Eric Rovski's on fire. But I was intending rook d1, so I might as well do it. Still not quite sure what I want. If I find time, I should also go h6 at some point, just to make sure I don't run into any back rank issues myself. But for now, yeah, typical for these lines. My pawn structure is worse, and I could lose the c7 pawn at any time. But the white's pawn structure around his king is a little worse, so he has to be quite careful not to get checkmated there. I guess objectively it is equalish. Rook takes. I could go queen d5, but after f3 the problem is I might not have anything a lot better than more or less equal endgames, which I don't want, so I'll take here. But I'm not really thinking that I'm better here. Unfortunately, because I like to be better and I like to think I'm better. As mentioned, if I ever find time to do this, I should go h6. I should probably also bring my queen back into business at some point. And yeah, Eric Rovski started speeding up a bit, which is a fair idea because we're both low on time. Well, I'm sticking to my make random moves and hope for the best approach. Like, hope that he blunders this stuff and win the game, that kind of thing. That's a very painful Zwischenschach right here. So yeah, things went well. What do you want me to tell you? I think I played okay, and yeah, in Blitz these positions are kind of tricky to play, even though, yeah, I'm not sure, maybe white is slightly better here, but with your weak king there's always trickeries around it, and therefore, yeah, I think it's easier to play for me. Let's play last pawn standing. Oh no, now his name disappeared. Here he is. Last pawn standing. Who's a favorite to be the last pawn standing? I once saw research about this on Quora that I believe, yeah, probably the A and H pawns are favorites to survive the battle, right? Because the center pawns normally get exchanged, but the A and H pawns don't really get that involved at an early stage. So they are favorites to be last pawn standing. Good old Grunfeld. I haven't done that for a while. But I've played it a lot, so I do believe that I know my way around. Theory here, bishop g5, one of many moves, knight e4, and the old line is c d5, knight g5, knight g5, e6. e3 here feels a little off topic because he gives me the two bishops more or less for free and the option to open the center. Of course white shouldn't be worse, but feels not very challenging, let's say. Once again, I'm aware I'm doubling last pawn standing's rating, but yeah, chess-wise, it doesn't look so scary, and d5, I believe. Knight on g5 is not going to be the last knight standing. Yeah, now it's just lost. Well, f4 should be tried to at least get 2 pawns, but it's not enough at such an early stage. Yeah, I have a feeling last pawn standing is quite new to chess, so I shouldn't be too harsh on him. No, this position is just kind of hopeless. Piece up for not very much, therefore I will win. So yeah, what else can I talk about? I don't know, I've been off the grid for such a long time. Had a great time in Thailand. Loved the Bangkok Open, even though once again I did manage to win. Finished half a point short of the winners. Ganguly and Paco Vallejo, who both had a better tournament, especially Paco, I thought was playing extremely well, so kudos to him. I lost one key game in round 8 to strong young Russian Ilda Khairulin. Might not be that young, but he is strong. And after that I didn't have a chance anymore, but 7 out of 9 was not a disaster. Had a good time, can't complain. Stavanger was also fun, some technical difficulties, but you always have them. And yeah, quite challenging for me to do commentary with our boy Peter Svidler, because he's better at chess, frankly. And normally with him we don't use any engine support, so you have to sort of be focused to not suggest complete nonsense. But he's very good and I like working with the dude, so I thought it went fine as well. That's what I've been up to. On the TV front, yeah, not that much, believe it or not. In Thailand I didn't watch much TV. I watched The People vs. OJ, which is a very good show. American Crime Story, whatever it's called. I highly recommend it. I'm in love with Rick and Morty, as mentioned. That might be it. I watched The Jungle Book, very touching story of a brave tiger who, to save the jungle's ecosystem from man's interference, is ready to and willing to take on the whole jungle by himself, but in the end he gets outsmarted by the mankin, and his lack of support is really what gets him. So I believe there's a lesson to be learned for all of us, that even if you have the best intentions, normally you can't get it done alone. And true happiness can only be sought with company. So yeah, Jungle Book was good. Have I seen anything else? No, I think that might be it. Yeah, I'm adding to my material gains here, but I stopped talking about the game so much because I am a whole piece up, now a rook up and a pawn, which makes me a serious favorite to win it. not sure who's going to be the last pawn standing. I could have taken Mr. A3, but I chose not to. I chose to threaten some checkmates. It feels like all these pawns will be the last pawn standing, because I'm not planning to take either of those, but instead deliver brutal checkmate on the g2 square. Sorry, last pawn standing. Yeah, the key moment was very early. E3 is not the best move. But after knight g5, e5, gotta keep that knight. Go back to f3. And nothing too bad has happened. Let's play another one. I have no idea when we started due to my many issues. Therefore, I have no idea when I'm gonna quit as well. But I'll play some more games. Let's play against Max Buaraba with the black pieces. Another d4 player, 2-5-37. Why is everybody so strong? All this bishop f4 stuff. What happened to the world that everybody's playing bishop f4 now? I guess he's a specialist. I don't really know what I'm doing here. I can take on b2, but I think there's some forced draws there, which I don't really want. So I'm going to switch plans. The problem is queen b2, knight b5, knight d5, and there are some drawing lines. And after queen b6, it feels a little inconsistent to change gears now. But that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I don't want any of these lines. The problem is I have to go knight a6, which is not pretty, and I'm probably a bit worse here. But what you gonna do when they come for you? I guess this is all still part of any ambitious bishop f4 player's notebook. I don't have a clue yet. My knight on a6 is ugly, but he's had to spend some time on all these operations as well. So I'm not sure how bad it is. But it's not that pretty, I'll admit that. I'll start taking some action against this bishop on whatever that square is called, f4, because it's annoying me. And now I'll try to exchange my ugly knight on a6. One small problem could be that he takes and then goes a6. Not sure how big a deal that is, but it's mildly bothersome, if that's a word. Queen b3 attacks Mr. d5, so I should probably keep him. Now we have some options. Knight f4, bishop f4, queen f4, queen b7, some rook to b8. Too complicated. I'll just go rook b8. It's sort of asking for g3, or yeah, it gives him a tempo to go rook e1, knight f1. Rook e1 and bishop f1. I guess I am still slightly worse, but such is life. Sometimes. It's another weird move. Not playing very well. That's sometimes a problem too. Yeah. Not sure how to arrange my pieces here to avoid any serious danger. Rook d8 felt wrong. Once again, I have this problem. I haven't played a6 yet. That bishop f4, queen c8. a6 is a little annoying because I have to deal with this dude on a6. But what to do? Knight g5, alright, doesn't bother me all that much. Yeah, random moving back and forth. I still have this a6 issue. At some point I should really play a6 myself, but it looks like he's not too keen on doing it. And else, yeah, the position is still roughly equal, but a6 bothers me. Knight e5 doesn't bother me that much. I'm curious what he wants though. Does he want to go f3? Let's make some fake active moves and see where that takes us. king h8 was directed against queen takes d5 thingy, so I have knight c4 here, which I didn't really calculate, but I had the feeling it should be alrightish. Knight c5 is, of course, a legal move. I think my position is fine now, but I have to speed up at some point. When is the time to speed up? I do not know. Trying to figure out what happens if he takes, and rook d1. Knight a4, very deep. Not sure what that's about. I guess he wants to take on a7. So be it. That was dumb. Somehow I thought this stuff should be good for me, but now looking at it, there was absolutely no reason to assume that, because his king is not really weak. No, that was just a blunder, basically. So I'm in trouble. Don't like trouble. Knight c5 is coming. Bishop c5 is a good move too. Yeah, this has gone very, very wrong. Nah, I just blundered bishop d5. That was ridiculous. 'Cause I had a good position like a move ago. It was all good just a week ago. But it ain't over yet. But I won't be able to afford many more moronic decisions, and I'm low on time. Still have some play now, so Max is catching up on the clock. G2. Let's get rid of one pair of rooks. Still don't see what to do though. Rook a8 was another weird move. Stakes is high. The excitement. At least knight e3 doesn't work, and queen d2. Yeah, it doesn't work. Was strong maybe, but he has to give up a piece. What have I done though? Did I blunder? Oh boy. Why did I do that? That was ridiculous. Ay, ay, ay. That was totally uncalled for. Tricks. Yeah, that was very back and forth, I'm sure. Switch on the computer. The evaluation was all over the place. At first I was more or less lost after I just ridiculously missed this bishop takes d5 move. And then, yeah, I made a bit of a comeback only to mess up again here by playing rook b3, where I'm not sure, maybe it's not so easy, but rook b3 certainly wasn't the way to go about it. And then I had this very lucky trick with rook takes a6 and bishop a6 runs into bishop f3 checkmate. So yeah, exciting game. Good game by Max Buaraba and lucky end for me. Alright, let's play like 2 more and then go home. I guess most of you guys are home. But I'm in our lovely Hamburg studio, where I am now facing Sodoniasty. What does that mean? Sodoniasty? I don't know, I have some associations, but I'll Google the word. This line makes 0 sense to me, bishop c4. But I guess there is a place for everything. I know Magnus Carlsen once played this in a friendly blitz game, but it's not very good, to put it mildly. He is threatening checkmate though, which I should parry. I don't know, I haven't studied this very much. But yeah, it looks fairly silly. f3, I could just take and be a pawn up. Or I could do something like knight to c5. But no, let's take the pawn. And if I get rid of this bishop, which I will, I don't really see lots of compensation. But I tend to underestimate opponents' initiatives, so I should probably give Sodoniasty a little more respect. And here after, or well, all respect to Sodoniasty, I should give his position a little more respect. And after bishop g5, he does have a bit of an initiative actually. It's depending on after h6 he can take. If after h6 he can take, but I don't really want to find out. So yeah, once again, after arrogantly dismissing one of these scary gambits, I'm now sitting here having to defend this position. I'll start with b6, see what happens. But yeah, I don't know, I must have done something a little wrong, because here it feels like there is plenty of compensation all of a sudden, which is not what I was asking for. Knight e4, queen d4 still seems to work. And if rook d1 or whatnot, I have to think of a way to get my pieces out. Probably knight d5. Yeah, I have a feeling knight e5 might have been wrong. Maybe knight e4 there immediately. And then there's some play. Rook f3, brutal. But you're not going to be able to checkmate me, Sodoniasty. I'm just in time to get rid of the queens, which is a serious setback for his checkmating ambitions, I would hope. Now black should be winning, but of course you still have to handle with care, which I probably won't do, so there's plenty of excitement still to come. I guess he wants knight d7, which is fair. Remember what I told you about the handling with care part. a6 is ridiculous. I'm steaming. I don't even know why I'm steaming. Like, knight f8 is fine. Rook f8, that's winning for black. But knight f6 and knight takes d4, and not such an easy conversion. Still, I am better. What else am I missing? Harold's wife still seems to be complaining about my shirt. But that means she's still watching. It's the Skip Bayless secret. If you can keep people watching because they hate the way you talk, the way you dress, it's even better because it's much easier to be hated than to be liked. So I'm okay with that. What's going on? Ambitious pawn is leaving us. Pawn pusher. I don't know, I might be talking about the last game or maybe about this opening. Yeah, I don't think the opening is very good, but I also don't think I played it very well. So yeah, many openings under the sun. But now, yeah, we have an endgame where I'm a pawn up, which is more in my ballpark. Looks like Sodo Dynasty is taking a lengthy timeout here to come up with a plan to save his dynasty here. I don't see it. Like, it's gonna take time, but the bishop is stronger than the knight, even though the knight looks nice on d4 after c3. But the bishop is still stronger, I believe. And yeah, my pieces are well coordinated now. So things should be in order. But plenty of work still to do, of course. Now I'm hoping that this rook on h3 is not all that happy about life. Especially now. And yeah, now we're closer to the end. Does this move win a whole rook? I just wanted to grab an exchange, but it might actually win a whole rook, right? Yeah, that's why Sodo Dynasty resigns. I can't remember if I said this was last game or not, because of the memory issues we've discussed plenty in the past. Since I can't remember, I'll play one more and say this next game is the last game of today. And then we're all going home. Whom do I play? Let's find... Oh, of course, I cannot resist playing Karpov's Putzfrau. Let's see what the Putzfrau has in store. I have intimate knowledge about Karpov Putzfrau's opening repertoire. And most of it is filled with lines like the one we just saw in the last game. But let's see what she has in store for us. Or he. I don't know. Bishop c4. Knight f6 probably. d4 or... Yeah. See, I told you. There's gonna be a lot of aggressive lines being played here. Ed knight f3. And after knight c6 we're right back in Putzfrau territory. Probably short castles, but I could be wrong about that one. Maybe e5 is coming or c3. Now short castles. Alright, here we go. And this is all theory. Knight c3. I can never remember which move is best. I believe most kids are taught more about queen a5 than queen h5, which makes me go queen h5. And here the best move is bishop g5, intending h6, bishop f6. I'm a bit disappointed that Karpov's Putzfrau plays such a theoretical line. It's much more theoretical than you're used to from your cleaning personnel. Bishop f4, however, is a move I'm not familiar with, and since it allows me to castle queenside, defending both d4 and c7, that's an invitation that's too good to pass up, I think. Let's see what's coming. Probably some knight to g5, a3. Not sure what that's about. Maybe directed against bishop b4, or just preparing b4. How can I know? I'll just develop some pieces. If in doubt, develop some pieces. Fishing for some weaknesses. Probably h4 has to be played, but you don't really want to do that if you're Karpov's Putzfrau. Else I'll just push my h-pawn as far up the board as I can. Yeah, there we go. Good move. Still don't know what to do, so I'll keep my king like half useful moves and let Kapos Putzfrau figure it out. Maybe knight g5 now, maybe I shouldn't have allowed that. But of course, it's complaining at a decently high level. I have to be better with my extra pawn and my bishops and all the good stuff, but still not easy. b4, some uncalled for aggression. I guess I'll go a6 just to stop b5 for now. But I guess the Putzfrau targets rook b1, intending b5. Very dangerous attacker, Kapos Putzfrau, so I have to be on my A game from now on. There we go. Problem with my h5 move earlier is I'd like to go queen b5 or some move that annoys him, but then in theory at least you can take on h5, which I don't really want. Not that easy. I'll play the most materialistic move at my disposal, but it feels very, very wrong. To go g6 here, but I really don't want to give him that pawn. If b5 I'm going to take, rook takes, queen c4, and I don't think anything too bad is happening to me. But I have a feeling I might have slightly misplayed the last couple moves. I know he's going to be very unhappy to see queen c4 initiating a queen's exchange, or other tricks. Queen d3, rook b7. Almost. Queen d1, king h2, queen b1, rook c7, king b8. Yeah, it doesn't quite work. And pre-move cd. Such a pity. All right, then. Let's do this. Putzfrau in deep thought here. I know he's very annoyed that the queens have left the board, so I got that going for myself. But of course, still plenty of resources in the position, like rook c1, and if my knight moves, boom, rook c7. But I won't move my knight. Biggest weakness is I can never resist pawns. In spite of this very scary attack I'm facing, I just feel like I have to grab that pawn. It feels like a moral obligation. I'm too attracted to grabbing pawns. Don't see a threat, so I'll go back. Just to stop any knight f6 stuff. Knight e5 I'll take and do whatever. c6, c5. Kapos Putzfrau thinking hard about ways to trick me. But maybe there are no ways. Maybe I'm untrickable. Probably bishop g5 is actually a good positional move. Just fighting for the dark squares. But I think he's going to rule that out because it exchanges pieces. Oh! Once again, I underestimated the Putzfrau. Which is something you should never do. Is there a threat, though? Panicking here, as you can see. All this unexpected pressure mounting and mounting. Might have to switch to plan B, only chance. Bishop A3 is a confusing pre-move. And the cleaning lady resigned after, yeah, the opening is not correct, but I did not expect that, especially bishop F4 is not a good idea. You gotta go bishop G5 here. And after that, yeah, became a very exciting fight where probably I was winning all the way, but I was still very, very scared. That's it for today. Apologies for the usual stuff, the late start, the technical difficulties, the way too tight shirt, the haircut, the lack of narrative about the chess games and the distractions. Thank you, both of you, for watching the show anyway. I don't promise to do better next time. It's gonna be the same crap most likely, but it's good to be back, play Banter Blitz with you guys. We'll do some more stuff. I think I should do one of these, what do we call it, Thailand opening clinics, where I reveal all my secrets from Thailand. I'll get to it one of these days. Yeah, if you like the video, share it, tell a friend, go premium to play us and to get access to all the great video series on Chess24. I will probably shake off my sleepiness in like a week or two. Technically I was on vacation, so I shouldn't be that sleepy, but yeah, I'm still rusty. Thanks for watching, see you guys soon. Don't watch Civil War unless you're a Marvel fan. No, it's a good movie, I had too high expectations. Watch The People vs. OJ. Watch The Winter Soldier if you really want to watch a Captain America movie. Watch Rick and Morty. That's all I got. See you guys soon. Stay classy.